Welcome to the real life horror movie. We actually don't know where to go. The GPS took us to a med corner, and as you can see, we're walking. We don't know where exactly this where the killings and where everybody is. Wow, is my teeth yellow. Anyways, one second. I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here.
Take 4. And action. The idea for Bloody Summer Camp has been one that I've had for a while now, ever since I started making horror movies. My first horror film was based off 80s slashers, even though we didn't have the money to make it actually take place in the 80s. That's something that I always wanted to do. And once we crowdfunded and were able to get the budget for it, that's what I wanted to go for. I wanted to go for a summer camp because I always thought that that was like the best location for an 80s slasher, and it kind of developed from there.
Dave and I first talked about making Bloody Summer Camp while we were filming his last movie, Return of the Slasher Nurse. We just decided that this is where we wanted to go, mainly because we all share a love for 80 slashers films. We wanted to make the kind of film that we would want to see, if we were back in the 80s. So once we all kind of got together and decided that's where we wanted to go, we met up with Michael and Jamie and brought them on board, and from there it just kind of took off.
I became aware of Bloody Summer Camp by scouring all of the online Facebook casting pages. I just happened to come across the casting.
I came to be aware of this film about, let me see. It was when they had first started casting for the trailer. I was super excited. I was like, a slasher film set in the 80s at a campground. I'm on board.
I saw that they were casting for a horror movie, and I was like, that's fantastic. I would love to be a part of that. So I auditioned for it, and I got cast. And I'm still kind of obviously on cloud nine about it.
Honestly, I've only been background in very few movies. Thankfully, I have a podcast with Dave Sheridan, and that's how I got my role.
It just kind of worked out where I loved the script. I thought it was so fun. It was a great role for me, and it all worked out.
Wait, I said keep it a secret that we could have. Stop.
And I did, until you blabbed it everywhere, and I only confirmed it with Bob. Right, Bob? That was the first time I saw it.
Well,
And it,
maybe.
What's it like working with Felissa and Dave? In a word, intimidating, and yet awesome. They're both incredibly professional and skilled.
So I'll admit, when Felissa Rose showed up at camp on set for the first day, I was a little starstruck because, I just like everybody else is probably watching the behind the scenes footage right now. I grew up watching all those summer slasher movies, and this, of course, is a love letter to that genre. And probably one of the most iconic moments in horror movie history is the ending of that film. So everybody knows that scene, and everybody knows the scene I'm talking about. So to work with Felissa and be able to exchange lines with her and be in the same scene, go through the blocking and rehearsal, it was a little surreal.
Felissa was amazing. She was one of our first big celebrities that we got to work with. We had worked with Jim Crut before, but Felissa, she was the star of Sleepaway Camp. So obviously when we first got to work with her, it was a little intimidating. But then we were able to bring her back a couple more times, and the more that we worked with her, the more special it was to us, because the more we felt more comfortable being around her, and we got to actually enjoy working with her So it was really great, and everyone on set loved working with her, and they were all glad that she was a part of it.
Working with Dave and Felissa was an absolute dream job. Both of them had some kind of connection to my youth. Felissa is a super talented actress. She absolutely brought Michelle to life, and added things in there that I don't think we ever would have thought when writing that character. And Dave, it's pretty much impossible to keep a straight face anytime Dave was delivering lines. And some of my favorite scenes are the scenes where we're all together and he's just using his improv.
Some of Dave Sheridan's best stuff comes from his improv. The best way to handle him on set, I thought, was to just let him do what he does and just kind of let him loose, but make sure that we had plenty of coverage. Because the thing is, sometimes he'd go way off script. We just had to make sure that wherever he was going, that when I would be editing the film, I'd be able to bring it back to where it made sense story-wise, or we could cut it out. So we basically just let him do what he wanted.
I think the funniest part was when he was whispering in my ear. No one else could tell what he was saying except the sound person. I always feel like he challenges me because although my background is improvisation, I am always trying to kind of like exercise that part of me really quickly because he's so fast and that's his thing. So it's great when we're working on set together and we're improvising and our characters have conflict, because it just kind of makes everything more exciting.
I've come to set with a reputation of improv. Sometimes when I get there, even some of the actors are like, oh, I hear you like to improv, but I'm not that good of an improver or improvisation. And, I usually try to work with the actors in their level. But the reality is this, I don't like improv either. But I'm just really bad at memorizing lines.
Dave really knows how to take a scene and bring it to a whole other new level, and it's always hysterical and fun where it goes.
Dave's penchant to improv and spring new lines on cast members is brilliantly illustrated during the filming of a scene as his character tries to break down the counselors to find out just what happened to a missing counselor.
Ivan Drago. Did you beat him up?
No.
I must break you.
No, Sheriff.
Sweet leg. Will you cry, kid? Will you cry, kid? Will you cry, kid? Will you do? Sweet leg. It's mercy.
Yeah.
Is that better than dance fever? Will you dance?
Yeah, sweep the leg. Because Cobra is real popular now. We just got that third season.
How about you, Karate Kid? What'd you do? Sweep the leg? Ooh, look what we got here. Karate Kid. Let me ask you something, Daniel-san. Did you wax off with the poor wheelchair kid a couple times? And then decide to sweep his leg so he didn't talk?
That was definitely hard, keeping a straight face. It did take us several takes, and I'm sure on a couple of those takes you can see me crack a smile. But you're trying to stay in character, and I'm trying. Like, I actually had lines with Dave when that scene went down. But we all had to kind of get our composure and go into our prep for Dave called action. So it was tough, but I think I maintained by the end.
Yeah, so what? That doesn't prove anything.
It proves you're a 4-time loser.
You're a fucking mall cop.
You watch your ass.
Oh man, the interrogation scene. That was a little bit painful because, as you can tell, I love to laugh. And every single time, like, Dave would switch it up just a little bit more. He ad-lib a little bit more. And I am so grateful that I'm, like, partially angled a little bit away, because if I made eye contact with him, I would have lost it every single time.
Keeping a straight face during Dave's improv scenes is an absolute actor's nightmare. Because he's so good, he's so skilled, he's so professional, and he's hilarious. It's so hard. There's a moment, I'm not sure it's going to make it in the film, but we do have a picture of it somewhere where he is in my face. It's a serious moment. I'm supposed to be sad and scared and intimidated, and in my face, I'm just like... But he's saying really, really funny things. So inside, I'm just like... I'm pretty sure that you could see my shoulders shaking. I tried. It's so challenging.
Not to be outdone, all the rest of the cast brings their A game.
Hey, come back here and kick my ass, motherfucker! I'll fucking kill you!
How did you prepare for those high energy scenes?
A lot of blocking, a lot of rehearsal, and actually, I did some kind of prep technique with my co-stars Michael McGlynn and Cody Falk, and what we would do is I would simulate an argument that we would get into right before the cameras rolled. So we're just working on the prep. You can't go into these scenes cold. If you're supposed to be mad in the scene, and 30 seconds before Dave calls action, you're completely calm and chill and relaxed, that's not going to carry through on camera. So you have to get yourself riled up. So what I would do with Michael and Brendan and Cody is we would get into shoving matches. We would yell at each other. We'd be like, fuck you, buddy, back and forth. And we would just kind of simulate this fake argument so that when Dave called action and we're supposed to be in that mindset, we're already there. And so it camera rolls and we're already in that energy level.
I broke my foot halfway through filming, and I had to have a brace, and I wasn't allowed to put any weight on it or do anything strenuous whatsoever. Thankfully, though, all of my scenes where I was running from Devil Face or doing anything particularly athletic had already been filmed. And I was really lucky that all of our cast members are fantastic people. The majority of filming with my broken foot was during the scene with Dave, where we're all lined up outside getting kind of, interrogated a little bit, questioned. And I'm right next to Matt, and maybe it's that bully and bully camaraderie through our characters, but he allowed me to put my arm on his shoulder and just place all of my weight on him throughout those scenes, so I wouldn't have to put any weight on my injured foot.
While the film has a great balance of known actors and up-and-comers, it also features a ton of practical makeup effects, harkening back to the days before most indie films just let a computer do the work.
So I watch real videos of people actually dying to get an idea of what it actually looks like, and then I take that and I kind of embellish it here and there in the form of effects for film purposes to get better reactions from the audience, because they don't necessarily know what it actually looks like either. So as far as film goes, you gotta put a little bit more into it than what it would look like if you actually saw it happening.
I'm like, that's our man. Freeze, asshole!
You know what? I know, because
He's like, what are you talking about? Quit resisting! Take another step and I'm gonna blow your black ass back.
I'm not gonna lie, I love my scene in the film with Dave.
So, what's with the blood?
Blood? It's paint.
It's paint. Been there, done that. Paint can be a mess.
Growing up, quoting Doofy on, all the time in middle school, to literally doing a movie with him where he's almost, in some ways dressed almost like Doofy, but just to do a scene in a movie with him, you honestly can't ask for more.
If you could sum up your time on the film in just a few words, what would it be?
Oof. Crazy, chaotic, fun, wouldn't change a thing about it.
Absolutely amazing. I truly fell in love with each and every person that was affiliated with the project. Bloody Summer Camp was absolutely one of my most favorite times on set.
It's really hard to describe in a few words what it's been like to work on Bloody Summer Camp. It feels like home. It feels like a family. A couple years ago, a bunch of misfits got together and we all came together and grew together, and each of us with our own talents and personalities, and it's been a wild, amazing ride, and an incredible journey.
The passion that I saw on set when I got there, the camaraderie, just the enjoyment of making a film. It was cool because they were like tight-knit group of people. I left there feeling so good. I made, lifelong friends, really.
Working on Bloody Summer Camp was an absolute dream come true. It was a blast in every sense of the word. I met some great people, got some great friends out of it.
This is definitely one of my favorite projects I've ever worked on. And you can tell, like, working at that camp, working with all those people, I obviously am a huge horror fan. Been a fan of the genre ever since I was 12 years old, and my parents told me I couldn't watch Friday the 13th, so of course what did I do? Broke the rules, right? The cast and crew, I am fortunate to say that I'll be working with a lot of the same people that worked on Bloody Summer Camp. It was incredibly, rewarding experience. We had such a good time working at that camp.
It was a blast. It was very fun.
It was absolutely amazing. I mean, between the cast and the crew, I feel forever grateful to have had this experience, to have been able to do all of this. And it's a bloody good time, y'all. Like, I cannot wait for everyone to see our labor of love and everything that we put into it, because it's going to be one kick-ass film.
Honestly, this was a true family type shoot. I enjoyed every minute, and everybody on set treated me like family. Everybody was just so super nice. Family is the best way I could describe it.
So we shot in Virginia, and as you know, my producing and podcast co-host Creech, he lives close by, and he's always coming to hang out on set. And I thought this could be an opportunity for him to get a role, because I knew this was a small film, and I'm Mr. Hollywood. I'm a big name. I'm huge. I'm a huge name for these people. And I want my co-host to play a role. So I went out of my way. I flexed, and I got Creech a role. And that flex was a big mistake.
Creech was great whenever we could get him off the phone.
Oh my God. Yeah, the phone. Yeah, Creech he was saying the oddest things into his phone.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
It was crazy.
Apparently he can't even read. I have dyslexia. He's what I guess they call illiterate. So he kept asking me what's going on. Are those letters? Is that a number or a letter? That's the page number. You don't have to read that part.
Creech complained a lot.
Ooh. Let's do some cherry coke.
Honestly, I don't know how he found time to say his lines and his scenes.
If I had to hear Creech shamelessly plug his podcast one more time, I was going to go fucking nuts.
Did you know I do a podcast with Dave Sheridan? Dave and Creech Mania is running wild.
Creech is a big guy. I'm only asking him to walk 10 feet. 10 feet. And he's like, no, I need a golf cart. I need a golf cart to take me back to his point of where he starts walking between. And it's a low budget thing. We don't have a golf cart. So they had to get 4 PAs to carry him back to his walking point. I guess the mark, as they call it. And they kept saying, go back to your mark. And that's where you're a professional. You know what the mark is. But he's like, I don't even know who Mark is. I thought that guy's name was Mike. No, Mark is where you stand. This is the kind of embarrassment I was dealing with.
Everything else was amazing. But Creech, he's a real diva.
Wait, they said what? Where?
Right here.
I don't see Alexi.
Well, you're blonde.